Thank you for joining this demo of AssureAI, Audit Automation Tool for Chartered Accountant Practitioners.
So before we get started, just a few introductory slides. In the past few years, automation has gained significance in the field of auditing and compliance because the entire landscape has witnessed a lot of changes over the past 2 decades. Auditors are interacting with multiple stakeholders who have very high expectations, and sometimes expectations are also conflicting. Getting skilled manpower has been a challenge, and it will continue to be a challenge. And on one hand, the government is investing heavily on technology to find any errors and omissions by the auditor. And hence, it is also logically correct that auditors are equipped with similar high-end technology framework. The problems are that the financial statement reporting framework is quite complex, and there are numerous audit documentation standards, and adherence to audit documentation standards is gaining importance over the past year and the current year. Client communications via multiple channels is inefficient, and by streamlining that, a lot of time can be saved. Auditors and your firm team members are also working on multiple assignments and tasks with their own due date. It is important for a system to be to give you the correct picture, to be able to plan and track tasks and prioritize it to the team members accordingly. How does AssureAI aim to or already solve this problem? As far as the financial reporting framework is concerned, the error proneness of financial reporting has been taken care by bringing the entire books of accounts of the client into the system. All the numbers produced by AssureAI are derived from the books, underlying books. There is hardly any manual entry of numbers that you will see up to statement generation. There is an easy to use documentation module with built-in templates. This has been revamped very recently. We also have 2 more phases of this under development, which will kind of connect the documentation audit workflow with the underlying data. There is a connected client environment or a client collaboration module wherein your client can also log into AssureAI. Thereby, all the communication happens on one platform and it just remains there. There is a task and team management module with which you can manage multiple different types of assignments and tasks. Our key objectives are to save time via automation wherever it is possible. So anything that a machine can do will be done by the machine, and your time will be freed up for doing the work that requires you to apply your mind. Reduce the risk by removing dependency on high-skilled labor, by bringing the process into the tool, and also creating multiple templates which are readily available. Enhance efficiency by removing the inefficiencies in planning, tracking, and collaborating with the client. So these have remained our objectives for the past 4 years, and all our development agenda is in line with these 3 goals. What you see on screen is how AssureAI looks when an auditor logs in. Apart from the auditor, you can also create login for your client user, the client accountant or CFO, and they can log into the tool. They don't get all the features that you have, but they can respond to your queries, they can submit documents, they can fill checklists, whatever you ask them to fill, and they can also sign letters like engagement letter, MRL. In interest of time, in today's demo, we will only focus on the auditor login. So this is the main dashboard, which gives you a view of all the ongoing assignments in your firm. There are in the same number 310 ongoing assignments is presented with in multiple angles, like the by status, by assignment type, by due date, and how overdue, where do the assignments still lie. And in the review workflow, how many are the maker, checker, and approver. There are also user-friendly filters here so that you can set your focus on the item that requires focus at any point in time. We have different dashboards here assigned to me awaiting my review approval and so on. As you can see, there are multiple assignment types here. AssureAI works like a planning and tracking tool for all other assignments other than annual audit. You can, it comes preloaded with 10 different assignment types, and you can also configure your own. There is a task management configuration screen where you can create your own assignment types and define the checklists, letters, whatever tasks are there. That we will see towards the end of the call. Annual audit here is a special kind of assignment for which we also provide automation via books of accounts import. So once you go into the annual audit, as you can see, I have opened the annual audit for A901-21-22. There are three main areas and one more audit program over here. Preliminary tasks is all about bringing the books into the tool and preparing the data for further processing, like mapping the ledgers, validating the data and mapping of ledgers. Statement preparation, the system allows you to prepare Schedule 3 compliant for non-corporates and corporates. For corporates, it prepares the revised Schedule 3 format statement in IGAP. Ind AS is not yet supported. Under fieldwork, you have mainly ledger scrutiny, voucher verification, and 3 city annexures. And for client collaboration, we have the issue and document request features over here. And all the audit documentation is under load audit. We'll see one by one all the features. Once the books are imported, the system will perform certain validations, whether trial balance tallies and whether there is any end of day negative cash balance. And also it will check whether there is any opening balance discrepancy. The opening balance verification is possible if you have the previous year data also loaded into AssureAI. So here the system compares all the current year opening balances with the corresponding previous year closing balances, and it tells you wherever there is a difference. So this initially can also bring out mismatches because of change in ledger names, which we typically see in Tally, wherever the data is split year on year to make it small enough to handle. So in this case, for example, these two are one and the same, but they are created with slightly different names in the from the previous year to the current year. So it shows up as a discrepancy. So to remove these kind of outliers, we have this auto link ledgers option where the system will throw those, identify and automatically show you those pairs of ledgers which are candidates for link. You can select all and link them. This removes those mismatches from the opening balance report, and you are only left with the real mismatches. Here again, this total difference should give you an indication on how severe the mismatch is. At this point, after reviewing the data validation, you can either reject the data, raise an issue to your client and wait for him to submit the new version, or you can approve and proceed. In this case, we have decided to approve and proceed. So once the data validation is complete, the next task is ledger classification. Ledger classification is required because your client might have created his book in his own structure of chart of accounts and ledger names. Whereas for Schedule 3 reporting purposes, you have to follow a certain predefined structure. So in AssureAI, we have created Schedule 3 compliant head and subhead hierarchy, which you can further customize by going into this configure subheads screen. For each client, one time you need to do ledger classification, the first version of data received for the first year. Subsequently, if you have changes in data for the same year or any subsequent year, system will remember the mappings and carry it forward. Even in the first year, we have this auto map feature where the system uses predefined rules and partly machine learning to map the ledgers automatically. So the rules are further customizable. There is a configure mapping rules screen where you can further customize the rules. And as you load more and more data, machine learning algorithm will learn from your manual mapping and will give you better coverage. Here, as you can see, about 95% of the ledgers are auto-mapped. However, initially in a new setup, the coverage will be somewhere around 40-50%. But by adding more rules and by loading more data, you can ensure that the system covers more ledgers via automap. The remaining ledgers which are not automatically mapped, you can map them manually, for which we have two views, group level and ledger level view. In the group level view, a tree structure is shown, and you can select a subhead at a group level, and all the child ledgers, or if there are any subgroups, everything will inherit the same mapping. Ledger level mapping is the flat structure where you can go and individually map the ledgers, or there is also a bulk mapping feature where you can search, find multiple ledgers and map them in one shot. All of them got mapped. So this way you can cover multiple ledgers and quickly finish mapping and proceed to statement generation. So ledger mapping is the last manual step before you can go and generate the statement. Once ledger classification is done, the system will perform a validation called ledger reconciliation, where it creates the ledgers within AssureAI, posts all the transactions, and computes the closing balance. And it will compare the closing balance that is computed against the closing balance that is in the incoming tally JSON. And only when all of them match, this will pass. This gives you a comfort that all the data is there and there is no error in the incoming data before you proceed with statement generation. In the rare case that it fails, you have to raise a ticket to us and we will help you. Preliminary tasks are all done. We can proceed towards statement preparation. Statement preparation, the first step is tangible and intangible assets, which is where the system computes addition, deletion, and depreciation automatically. Since you have uploaded the books including the transactions, and you have also done proper classification of ledgers under various fixed asset and depreciation categories, the system can auto-calculate addition, deletion, and depreciation. For the first year, you need to manually enter opening cost and opening depreciation. From the second year onwards, even that will be carried forward from the previous year closing figures. And the entire table will be prepared on the click of a button. In case you don't agree with some of these figures, you can edit these. But while editing, if you introduce some discrepancy, the system will highlight and not save it. In case you would like to understand how the system came up with these numbers, the entire set of fixed asset vouchers are here in this export option, where it will also show you the classification of vouchers as addition, deletion, and depreciation. So you can drill down into how these numbers were arrived at. That completes fixed asset schedule preparation. Moving on to aging analysis. Aging analysis was introduced as part of revised Schedule 3 format for corporates, wherein for trade payables, receivables, capital work in progress, and intangible assets under development, you need to submit a breakup of closing balance across various aging buckets from not due to greater than 3 years. AssureAI performs aging analysis on the click of a button in a matter of few seconds. So as you can see, there are about 300 trade payables and about 60 trade receivables. The system has been able to analyze 3 years data, including transactions, for these ledgers in a matter of 20 seconds. How does the system do this? So there is a column here that is by default hidden called analysis type, which shows two values. So wherever the bills versus payments tracking is done correctly, accurately in Tally, or whichever is the bookkeeping system, the system uses the outstanding bills report to come up with the aging analysis, which is the most accurate source of aging analysis. But there may be some parties for which it has not been, bills versus payment tracking has not been done correctly. In those cases, system employs a FIFO algorithm, where it takes the closing balance and sets it off against the transactions which happened in the current year, previous year, and previous to previous year, and so on. These numbers are also editable if you would like to, but the system will track those changes and show them as manually edited. Aging analysis in statement needs to be reported based on multiple groups. MSME versus non-MSME, disputed versus not disputed for trade payables, and for trade receivables you have to also show secured versus unsecured, considered good versus doubtful. So for this purpose we have these check boxes which you have to fill in manually. The system has no way of inferring these, but once you fill it for the first year, system will remember those settings in the subsequent years also. Obviously you can go and change it in the next year. That completes aging analysis. Once these are done, you can proceed with statement generation. Financial statements, there are two versions, draft and final. Both are identical in terms of the content, just that draft will have a provisional tag and final will have signatures of CA and client, and also UDIN and those details. There are two different formats, regular for non-corporates and revised schedule 3 for corporates. There are multiple rounding levels. If you would like to insert background and significant accounting policies as note number 1 and 2, you can select this checkbox. So this is a statement, balance sheet in revised schedule 3 format. Profit and loss. Cash flow is also auto-generated, and wherever the cash flow does not tally, this figure will be shown in red color. And from balance sheet and profit and loss, by clicking on these blue colored items, you can drill down into the corresponding section and notes. So I click on share capital. It's taken me to note number 3, share capital. 1 and 2 are reserved for background and significant accounting purposes. This is a share capital note, which includes promoter shareholding and the year-to-year change. And there is some text matter that is there in the share capital note. This is customizable. We have a separate screen where you can edit it, this, that, and this. Also, notes, additional disclosures can be added right below the line item like we have here, or below the entire group like we have here. So there are screens where you can enter these notes. These notes can be long text, paragraph, numbered items, bulleted items, but we don't allow tables to be inserted here because that affects the export Excel or PDF format. So you can't enter tables, but all other formats are supported. And trade payable aging schedule is here as we saw. It's grouped by MSME versus not MSME and disputed versus undisputed. Trade receivable aging schedule. Also, as part of revised schedule 3, we need to disclose 11 new ratios, revised schedule 3 ratios. All of them are auto-computed, current year and previous year figure. The variance is also auto-computed. There is a screen where you can enter the reason for variance. Notes, you can further drill down to details by clicking on these links. Details page gives you the ledger-wise breakup. And from details, you can further drill down to the transaction ledger view, which gives you a list of transactions along with their running balances. The idea is that once the books are imported into AssureAI, there should be no need for you to go back to Tally or whatever is the bookkeeping. Tangible and intangible asset. Whatever we saw on screen is presented here along with previous year total figures. And there are some ratios to be reported in 3CD. Those are auto-computed and shown. The statement can be exported to Excel, PDF, and Word format. I have some samples the statement in PDF format. Balance sheet, profit and loss, cash flow, and notes. Excel, the Excel is here. Um, while generating the Excel, you have the option of choosing between 3 or 4 fonts and also setting the color of the headings. And the Excel is print ready. It also includes cell references, links. So from balance sheet, you can link to notes, and from notes, you can further drill down to the corresponding details. There is also cell validation in place. So wherever the drill down figure, the sum is not matching the computed figure in the balance sheet or wherever, whichever level it is, those figures are highlighted like this. So here, for example, depreciation and amortization expense is not, it is linked to depreciation for the year in fixed asset note, but if you unhide these columns, you will see the computed value. So this is computed from the ledger balance of depreciation and amortization. So that is, there is a difference of 10 rupees. So when such differences arise, it will highlight to you. Basically, the idea is to alert you before you sign on the financial if there is an issue, if there is a discrepancy in the number. So that's about the statements. We saw comments and disclosures as note number 1 and 2, background and significant accounting policy. So this is where it comes from. Whatever comment content we saw in statement note 1 and 2, it flows from here. So not only these two, but also accounting standard schedule 3 and other disclosures. There are multiple sections and templates are available. So if you want to include a section, you just need to select it here. The corresponding section will become visible. If there are multiple templates, you can choose from one. There are many where there are multiple templates also. You can choose the one that is suitable and mark the sections that are applicable to this client. Only the template content is there here. The numbers have to be filled manually. Those numbers are not auto-populated. This is accounting standard. Under schedule 3, again, we have multiple templates and other disclosures. As you keep adding more and more sections, you can save it. And finally, you can export the whole thing to docx. Either you can, we have included background and SAP in the statement itself. So I just want the remaining 3 notes. And my last note number was 27. So I can start with 28 here. This gets exported into a separate Word format, which you can attach to your financial. So that completes our discussion up to statements. For aging analysis to work correctly, accurately, in all cases, the system needs 3 years of data. So in this case, we have actually loaded data from 1920, 2021, and 21-22. The system will trace back. So if there is any, let's say, trade payable, trade receivable ledger having opening balance, and it traces back, it goes to the previous year and previous to previous year and computes the aging. I'll take some example over here. Yeah, so there are some where even 2 to 3 years and greater than 3 years figures are computed by the system. This is possible because we have loaded 3 years data. So then subsequent question that follows is, how does the system know the previous year's transactions? We are importing books for a year every year. So we've started from 2021 for this client, 21-22, sorry, 19-20, 21-21, and 21-22. So it knows, it can go to the same ledger, previous year books, and trace the transactions. Even in cases where the ledger has been renamed, If you remember, I showed you at the beginning, there was a linking feature in balance verification. So even if the ledger has been renamed, if they are linked in the OB verification screen, the system will be able to treat them as one and the same and go back to the previous year and previous to previous year to get these aging figures. Under fieldwork, we have ledger scrutiny, where the system presents risk assessment of all the ledgers and transactions by running predefined rules in the system. So all the ledgers are classified as high, medium, or low. Likewise, the transactions are also classified as high, medium, low. To get to the details, the list of rules that it ran are listed here. You can click on a rule to understand which are the ledgers identified following which fall under this category. For example, this is country debtor balance where no transaction is made during the year. So there are customers where there is opening balance but no transaction has been made. Those ledgers are listed here. Over here, you can do multiple things. You can, if you are convinced that this is not a risky item, you can select and exclude it with a comment. It will go and sit in the excluded list. Or if you want to raise a query to your client, you can raise an issue and the ledger is automatically attached to the issue. The issue can be raised to your client. The client user list will also be shown here. You can just assign it to your client, or you can assign it to someone from your team to scrutinize it further. There are multiple rules which are triggered, and there are also rules which have been run but didn't find a match. They are also listed here for your information. Medium risk, there are a different set of rules again. Voucher risk overview gives you the same view, but it identifies the risky transaction. So all the high risk vouchers are typically cash transaction related. Here you can click on a rule to view the transactions. But the rest of it works the same way, excluding and raising an issue or document request, all of it works the same way. Expense variance is a report of how there has been a sudden increase or drop in an expense from previous year to current year as a percentage of the respective year's revenue. So this, you get the subhead level group wise report, or you also get the ledger wise report. There is a user-friendly search, free text search, which searches in the narration also apart from ledger names. And there is an advanced search, where you can combine multiple fields and search. These are for your manual ledger scrutiny. And there are some graphs which give you a pictorial representation of your client's risky nature. This whole thing can be exported to Excel. And in case you want to export individual rule output, list of ledgers or transactions, those are also exported. You can, whenever you receive a new version of data, you can reject the data validation and import the new ledger, new JSON. There is a version history feature which will allow you to compare any two versions and see what is new, what is changed, and what is deleted. Once you have a new version of data, you have to, ledger mappings will be retained, but you have to go through. You need to just save the mappings once, submit, click the button in aging analysis, click the button again in tangible and intangible, so that all the data gets refreshed and you will be able to generate the statement. In a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, unless there is huge change in data, you should be able to generate the statement for a new version of data submitted by your client. Moving to voucher verification. Just a minute.
I have a question.
Yes.
In ledger scrutiny, whether we can ensure compliance of TDS provisions or like that?
No, sir. TDS provisions are currently not covered by ledger scrutiny. We have analyzed the requirement and it is way too complex and it requires proper development. It is not fitting within the ledger scrutiny framework. It is slated, we will definitely take up, but currently we are engaged with bringing the audit documentation feature. And there are a set of priorities, post which we will take up TDS compliance. And that's a big requirement, huge project. Moving to voucher verification, it is all about statistical sampling of vouchers and recording the verification results within the system. Verification itself is to be done manually. There are 3 different statistical sampling techniques supported: random, systematic random, and stratified. Random and systematic random, you just give it a number and it will select the sample. In case of stratified sampling, you can give the exact sampling criteria. So for example, here, we have sampled all the purchase vouchers above 5 lakh, sales vouchers above 5 lakh, expense vouchers greater than 2 lakh, and also a random sample of 2% on top of it. Like this, you can create samples with specific criteria and verify them. Once a sample is created, the whole sample can be exported to Excel to share with your client for collecting the data. Once the hard copies are received, the system will allow you to go through the hard copy and match it against the voucher, which is displayed like this, and record it as passed, error found, marked for review, or voucher missing. There is a separate review screen from which the reviewer can get a summary view of verification while it is happening. So how many errors are there marked for review? These are hyperlinks, so you can go into those vouchers and check directly. For each sample, after verification, you can export the same Excel, which will include the verification comments and the results. And there is also consolidated summary report, which gives you the selection summary and the error rectification summary as well. Moving to 3CD annexures. For 3CD, we don't do filing. There are many tools in the market that are already supporting that. Our goal is to help you generate the data from, generate the figures to be reported here from the underlying data that you have imported. So currently we support 7 annexures, 48.3 and 48.3 are related to cash transactions, 48.2b related parties, 269 SS and T that's related to unsecured loans, and statutory dues 43b and 3615a. Each of these follow a similar pattern. I'll walk you through one of the clauses. This 269 SS is all about unsecured loan acceptance transactions above 20,000. So since the transactions are already in the system will bring out the ledgers, which unsecured loan ledger, which have those matching transactions. You just need to give the name of the lender, address, and PAN. Once that is given, the system will scan the ledger and give you all the transactions that satisfy that criteria of greater than 20,000 amount. It will autofill this and maximum outstanding amount, and up to accepted by check or bank draft is autofilled by the system. Only input required from you is to mark it as either account payee check or not. Once this is done, the next step, system shows the data in the same format as the corresponding 3CD clause, which is also available for Excel export, which you can download and upload into the tool that you use for filing 3CD. So this is the same pattern that is followed for each of the 3CD clauses. The level of automation and the kind of data that you need to enter varies from clause to clause. Now moving to audit documentation. Audit documentation is within this audit program, where we have pre-created an entire task hierarchy comprising of multiple tasks and subtasks. So under preliminary engagement, we have number of letters and checklists, and audit planning, risk assessment, Audit of FSLI is currently under development. It is not enabled. Procedures under essays, there are about 35 essay checklists that ICI published. All of them have been brought into the tool. And AS and CARO, we are still working on, and tax audit procedures. Under audit conclusions, we have different audit report formats. So for every assignment, you don't have to necessarily follow all these steps. There is also materiality, which is automated. I will take you through. You can pick and plan those tasks that are applicable to the assignment by selecting them and marking them as applicable or not applicable. Once the tasks are planned, you can also assign it to different makers, checkers, and approvers. Different tasks can be taken up by different people within this assignment team. All those allocations can also be done over here using this edit option. Once the tasks are assigned, when the corresponding assignee comes in, he will get his tasks in this view, and he can start on a task, work on it, and submit it for review or approval depending on the assignees that are there. So this, I'll just take you through this IFCO. This is a task which is yet to be started. I just started the task. It's a letter task. For a letter, the template is predefined, and the sections which you may have to update are highlighted here for your convenience. As of now, you have to fill these in manually. In the upcoming release, we are introducing form fill kind of option where some of the predefined fields like name, address, and all that will be auto-filled. So once you review and update the letter, you can also add a simple letter head over here. You can save, print. Ideally, you're supposed to print it, sign, and upload the scanned copy. So the PDF gets saved here, and also the system tracks who signed it when. And the task is now 50% complete. When the task is 100%, the task is now available. This letter is now available for the client user to log in and sign it. When he also signs it, it becomes 100% complete. Once it is done, you can submit it for review, and the reviewer can review and enter his comments, then approver, so on. In this particular assignment, we have only maker, checker, but we have 4 different roles: maker, checker, approver, and EQCR. All roles are supported. That is about a letter. There are also multiple checklists that are available. I'll take one of the essay checklist from here. The checklist, this is an essay checklist. I think it is rolled out by ICI. So the template, the questions are here. Responses are predefined. We also have this apply default response and apply default comments, wherein for majority of the questions, whatever we understand is the most commonly used response, we have pre-filled them. But you can definitely review and make corrections. This is just to save your time. In many cases, we also have default comments configured. In this case, not there. You can enter your responses, enter your comments, and also optionally upload attachments and save the checklist and proceed. So once you save the checklist, the system will automatically track the percentage completion, and the percentage completion will be rolled up, and all the parent and parent's parent all the way up to assignment, the system will auto compute percentage complete. By looking at the percentage complete, you will have some idea on how much work is left actually on this assignment. So that is about audit documentation. I just took some examples of letter and questionnaire. There are multiple templates that are predefined. There is also a configuration feature where you can bring your own templates and you can also add your own tasks into the tool. So this is the annual audit configuration screen, where using the configure tasks option, I can go through the tasks which are already there, and I can also add a new task or I can go into an existing task. So let's say audit reports, I want to add my own format for independent auditor report. I can edit it. View the template that is available. This is the default thing that is provided by AssureAI. But if I want to add my own report template, I can easily configure, and this will be available for all your client assignments. For all the assignments, your template can also be used. Likewise, powerful configuration features have been introduced over here. In the interest of time, I'm not able to cover the entire thing. This is a separate session altogether. But when you come in for trial, you can explore it yourself. Take the call. Coming back to audit documentation, there is one feature which we have not covered, which is determine materiality. So sometime back, ICI had released this utility for determining materiality. That's an Excel-based utility which follows the risk assessment framework, and it also gives a set of recommendations on which benchmarks are to be used for computing materiality. So we have taken the same utility and brought it into the system, where as part of step number 1, there is an engagement risk assessment questionnaire comprising of 27 different questions which you have to rate your client based on. So for each question, you can select whether the risk is high, medium, or low, and also give a score. So likewise, when you fill the whole checklist, the system will be able to compute the overall risk of this client. The next step involves selecting the benchmark that is suited for determining the materiality. So all these figures are derived from the financials, current year, previous year, and average issue. And these benchmarks are the ones that are recommended by ICI. From this, which benchmark to use, or which are the benchmark, one or more benchmarks you can select by using your professional judgment. So this is a manufacturing company. I want to go with revenue. The minute I select revenue, the materiality recommended percentage options are listed here. I can choose the percentage that I think is right. Give the materiality amount, enter my reason for selection of this. System auto computes this materiality amount, and accordingly, the same number is used as the overall materiality. Depending on the risky nature of the client, in this case, it is medium risk. The system will give you ranges within which performance materiality haircut or trivial materiality and specific materiality percentages have to be entered. So within this range, we can select any percentage over here, based on which the system will auto compute these 3 figures, which can also be rounded to the nearest 100,000 or 1 lakh. So here at the end of step number 2, you have all the materiality threshold figures computed and ready for you. Specific materiality is typically a much smaller figure, like 1/10 of the performance materiality, and that is to be used as the base for testing some categories which are naturally by nature small in value. We have defined 2 such categories, statutory dues and related party. But you can pick and choose whichever category you want to apply specific materiality to for this client. And for each category, you can define from the ledger classification, from the chart of accounts, which are the heads and subheads which are to be considered, which are to be tested as part of this category. Once this is all defined, you have a summary page where the whole thing is listed. So determine materiality is our first development in the series of enhancements features that we are rolling out, wherein the audit program will be linked to the underlying data. So this is the first such feature. Subsequently, we are working on an automated selection of FSLA for testing by applying these materiality figures to the financial statement line items. System will select those line items which are I don't know, qualified is a word, which are eligible for testing or which need to be mandatorily tested. And system will also, we are also developing an FSLA testing module, which will be part of here. So I showed you it is under development. So audit of FSLA, audit of equity. So here, the plan is for us to bring the selected financial statement line items under the respective category, pre-populated here for you to verify and do the testing and record the misstatement, quantify the misstatement. And the whole thing will be summarized in the form of summary of audit findings in the audit conclusion. So this is the plan that we have, and then these whatever I spoke about now is under development. It will come to you in 2 phases starting June. The benefits include saving time and better predictability of when you can complete an audit, less dependency on high-skilled labor, and better accuracy, less error proneness. And this task management dashboard, whoever has used our task management dashboard has reported that it brings accountability to the user. So since all the tasks are assigned to the individuals and there is clear due date, target date tracking in the dashboard, and everybody knows that the same view is also visible to the supervisor, there is very good adherence to the compliance in terms of dates by the team. Intangible benefits include ability to work from anywhere, better quality of work for your team and better team satisfaction, better client satisfaction, and peace of mind. We recognize that we still have a lot of ground to cover. Our current development plan includes these 3. Automated materiality we have done, testing of FSLI, custom audit procedure framework is already there. You can create your own audit procedures in the tool using the configure task screen. And we also have a plan of bringing single-click work paper compilation. Data import currently is enabled only for Tally, Zoho, and TB Excel for all other accounting software. We are bringing an Excel-based books of accounts import, which aims to cover other software as well. Ind-AS financials is the next item on priority. And once all these are done, we will look at GST, TDS, and depreciation automation. So AssureAI is a cloud-hosted product, and we have hosted it on AWS, which is the most reliable and secure cloud environment. And majority of the features that we provide here requires us to work with large volumes of data, and to achieve the kind of performance that aging analysis in 10 seconds or 20 seconds and ledger scrutiny in 2 minutes and all that, we need to have powerful infrastructure. So we have, apart from our development and maintenance cost, we also pay the cloud hosting charges to Amazon on a monthly basis. That background, there are 2 plans, pricing plans. Premium covers everything that we discussed today, and standard does not include audit documentation and task and team management. In January this year, we tied up with ICI, and AssureAI has been listed on the CMP benefits page, using which, through which we offer 50% discount for the first year and 40% discount for the subsequent years for CAs who visit our website through the CMP benefits website and sign up. So this is the tiered pricing for both standard and premium plan. The minimum number of users is 3, and over and above that, you can create any number of users by paying this additional amount on an annual basis. These prices are exclusive of GST. For a large firm having more than even 17-18 users, the enterprise plan will make sense, wherein at a per user level, the cost will be much less, and you will also enjoy a separate dedicated server. You don't have to share your the CPU or memory power with any other customer. So if you like the software, you can take up a trial also. There is a try for free button. You can enter your details. In a day or 2, we will create a separate trial environment which will be available to you for a period of 14 days. You can bring your own customer data. There is enough material using which you can learn, self-explore the tool, or you can book a call with the support person for any queries. Thank you all for patient hearing. I look forward to hearing back from you